We all love cool details in Elder Scrolls games, so I got not 10, not 50, but a whole 100 crazy details in Oblivion Remastered that will blow your mind. It's gonna be a long one, guys, so let's just dive right in.
I'm so happy I could just tear out your intestines and strangle you with them.
In almost all clothing stores all over Oblivion, you can find a specific pair of shoes. The blue suede shoes. And they're an obvious reference to the song Blue Suede Shoes, famously played by Elvis Presley, but not actually written by him. Next up, head to Arkved's Tower, where you can find some of the strangest decorations in all of Oblivion. Like a giant room with giant chairs, benches, shelves, and also a bed. Next up is the Upside Down room, for any spiders watching this video. And if you continue, you'll find some things even more mysterious. Go to Greenmead Cave and descend its depths to find the scariest creature in all of the game. The not ginormous, but humongous mud crab. Probably the most powerful creature to have ever existed. But for the next one, stay in Arkved's Tower and enter Arkved's sleeping quarter and watch him sleep eternally, unable to wake. Ignore the fact he's standing up, he's just bugged. And instead, look at the crumpled up piece of paper laying all over the floor and on a bench. Simply reading, "The horror, the horror." And also, more ominously, "I shall lie here in the dark, waiting for death." These are the lines coming directly from Heart of Darkness by Jason Kurtz, describing the character's descent into madness, which is very similar to what happened to Arkmed after he stole this magical orb. If you're a big fan of Star Wars, you might like this next one. Go inside the Oblivion Gate found in Kavash. Walk forward and a bit to the left, and you go to the shores of the Sea of Lava, and you find a burning corpse reaching out of the lava with a missing arm. And this might remind you of episode 3 at the final battle when Anakin Skywalker lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I guess, just like the real one, he did not have the high ground. The next couple of Easter eggs are small, but still interesting. In the Imperial City, you can find a restaurant called The Main Ingredient, which is a reference to a restaurant in Maryland, the place where Bethesda is located. And the next one will be the Three Brothers Trade Goods, which is also named after another restaurant in Maryland. During the quest, the Siren Deception, women will try to seduce you and bring you to their house out in the forest. But their actual plan is to rob you and steal all your things. And one of the women who is a part of this scam is Tyrina, a Khajiit, which is a reference to the book Mossflower, where the villain was a cat named Cyrena. Next up, head to the vineyards outside of Skingrad. Grab an apple and hold it in front of the face of any sheep you can find. And hold it there for around half a minute, and something special will happen. They will start following you and your food, so you can easily kidnap as many sheep as you want. For more magical, weird mud crabs, head to Paradise. And on a small island to the east, you might find a magical, spectral mud crab. Completely unique in the entire world. The only one to have ever appeared ever. Insane. The next detail is not an Easter egg, but more of a very, very strange NPC. The alchemist in Skingrad, who has a disturbing criminal record.
I'm the only alchemist in Skingrad. Not much business here, but I can't go back to Morrowind. It's just like anywhere else in the Empire. By the way, do you happen to know what the fine is here in Cyrodiil for necrophilia? Just asking. Let's assume... no. That's nothing compared to Morrowind. Thanks!
But for even more strange Oblivion dialogue, one of the voice lines still in the game was a mistake, but the developers for the remake decided to stay authentic to the original game and not remove it in the remake. Listen to this dialogue.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
In the Dark Sanctuary, you'll find the orc Gorgron, who only wears heavy armor and uses heavy weapons. But when asking the Wood Elf archer Telangral, she will give you this line about him.
Well, all right. Gogren had a pet rabbit as a child. He petted the thing so hard he crushed its skull. What a brute!
This is a reference to the book of Mice and Men, where the main character kills a dog and a rabbit in the exact same way. Going to the city of Anvil and entering through the northern gate, you will find a small pond with a statue. Many fans believe this is based off the Little Mermaid statue in Denmark. Head to the corner of the map, the waterfront of Anvil, and then wait until the middle of the night. Then you will see an Argonian, a Wood Elf, and an Orc meeting up in the middle of the night at the dock, fighting each other for their fight club. And if you ask anyone, they will not have heard anything about it. I guess they're following the first and the second rule. Just ignore this extra person in the middle. Leave Anvil and head to this small island. Once there, jump on this small rock and then further go into the ocean to the southwest. And once you're in the ocean, in between two rocks, you might find a special helmet. And that's of course the Helm of Finn Gleam, the ultimate diver's helmet, granting you water breathing, night eye, and detect life for free. And you can get it at any level. The real question is though, how did this guy die underwater with water breathing? And lastly, before leaving Anvil, we need to head to the lighthouse. Enter the locked door to the basement, and you'll find a grim scene. Dead bodies, dead dogs, blood everywhere. Someone evil was living here. But continuing deeper into this room, you might find the separate head of a woman on an altar, and the name Mother's Head. In the Dark Brotherhood story, you will find that a traitor keeps his mother's head here and talks to her. And if you're a fan of horror slasher movies, you might find this similar to Friday the 13th, or more specifically, Part 2, where Jason, the killer, does the same thing, keeping his mother's head. Right across the exit to the sewers, you'll find an alien ruin called Vilverian, and you need to enter it and reach the final room. But the truly interesting things aren't the loot, but a special letter right next to the coffer called Undelivered Letter. And once you read it, you'll find something weird. On top, you can see the name Alec, and on the bottom, you'll find it's supposed to go to Captain Cardias, meaning it's supposed to go to someone named Alec Cardias, which some people think is a reference to Alucard from the Hellsing anime, or also a reference to Dracula, because if you rearrange the letters in the name, it will spell out Dracula. Not only is the name a very obvious hint, also in the letter, you'll find hints that this man is a vampire, with the line, lest they suspect your own true nature. Continuing to talk about Dracula, we need to move to the city of Skingrad, or more specifically, you need to look at the castle. You might find it similar to something else. The exterior of the castle is almost an exact copy of Bran Castle in Romania, which is also commonly known as the Castle of Dracula. Moving inside the castle, you might also observe how it's incredibly evil looking. And the castle is obviously the seat of the Count of Skingrad, almost like Count Dracula. Next, we have some references to actual developers of the game. You have to go to Fort Cinia and descend into its steps. And down there, you'll find a quite normal looking skeleton in the stairs. But when looking at it, a name will appear, Grand Struff, which people think is a reference to Grand Struffers, one of the 7 members of the World Arts team developing the original game, and we can see his name in the credits. Then going to Fort Nickel, and actually going past it to a small lake behind it, and in it you can find a corpse with the name of Naf Dyer, and on his body lays a love letter, and on it you'll find the text, "You don't know me, but I see you every day. Every day my heart skips a beat as you walk past. I'm writing to you in the hopes that you will let me court you. I will be the one holding a primrose." Unfortunately, he was never able to deliver the letter, and the name is reference to the developer Nathan McDyer, who was on the quality assurance team to the game. There's probably a whole story behind this, but we will never know. Going to Skingrad once again. Head straight to Summer Mist Manor for the Dark Brotherhood quest, Who Done It. Then talk to the Nord guarding the door, and his name will be Fafnir. To someone who's familiar with Nordic mythology, you might find it similar to a dragon who guards a chest of gold with the exact same name. And another connection, you're supposed to go inside and kill a bunch of people who got tricked into coming there to find a secret chest of gold. And that would bring us to another Easter egg, because all of these people think they're supposed to find this pot of gold, but they're really here. Someone put a price on their head and want us to kill them all. And it was revealed by none other than Todd Howard himself that the whole mission is a reference to the book And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, where the plot is quite similar. A group of strangers get invited to a faraway island where they get killed off one by one. Did you know if you go to prison too many times in a row, the guards will actually start knowing you and being more nice and friendly towards you? But they won't let you out, unfortunately. The next couple of details will cover the goblin alcoholic problem in Cyrodiil. So head to a Lost Boy cavern to find this drunk goblin deep inside, hanging from the roof, with bottles of beer beneath him. You can also head to Horn Cave. And now also in this cave, you can find a locked room and a dead goblin filled with alcohol. Next up, we need to travel to Toadstool Hollow. And as usual, you need to enter this cave. And inside this cave, you could guess it, another drunk goblin who has passed out dead from excessive drinking. Crayfish Cave, another hole in the ground. And at the bottom of it, a dead goblin who has been drinking too much booze. And next to him, you can even find a hole in the wall, stocked up with alcohol and also a barrel above his head, so he can have a maximum intake. Now instead of a hole in the ground, you have to go to Fort Real. But here's the twist. In there, you will find a hole in the ground. And down there at the bottom, we will find another dead goblin, surrounded by alcohol. Next up, the infested mine. This time you don't have to go inside, but you have to go to the side. Up on the cliff ledge, above the waterfall, with a beautiful view, you can find another dead goblin, surrounded by booze galore. Probably the most aesthetic place to die this far. But anyway, these goblins should probably go to some Goblin Anonymous meeting. Alcoholics and bums. In any city all across Cyrodiil, you will find tons of homeless people. And they're not just for killing. If you talk to them, you can donate a couple of coins. And then, after giving them the coin, they will give you a blessing of one of the 9 gods. But eventually, they will give you this specific line.
Blessings of Mystara upon ye.
For those of you who know the lore, Mystara is not a deity or a god. This is actually a Dungeons and Dragons reference, referencing the D&D setting Mystara, which was one of the original ones. When you get the Fall-On Watchman quest, you might not know, but it's a reference, where you need to do some unfinished business for a ghost. Head to this boat where you'll find some ghosts, like Gable the Traitor, and also read through their notebook. In this log, they will tell us how the traitor Gable led a mutiny against Captain Larfden, which is a reference to the classic movie Mutiny on the Bounty, where 2 people named Larfden and Gable were playing the captain and the chief of the mutineers during the Dark Brotherhood introduction quest to the Inn of Ill Omen, and then proceed to assassinate an old man called Rufio, which happens to the characters in the book Lord of the Ring as the quest Knife in the Dark, when the hobbits are trying to sleep, but then the 9 Nazguls pull up and try to murder them. And the inn they're staying in is also the inn where they met Strider, or in other words, Aragorn, a mysterious ranger. In the corner of the room of this bar, you can see an Imperial Legion Forester, or pretty much a ranger. But an important detail you might have missed: why would anyone want Rufio dead? You can actually find the reason in the game. If you head to the plaza of the Imperial City, and then go to Claudius Arcadius' house, you will see that the house has been seized by the Imperial Legion. And inside its basement you will find an evil sacrifice to the Night Mother. Bones, a skull, a heart, human skin, and a dagger. Then, when heading to the Imperial prison, you will find Claudius Arcadia, and he will tell you the reason why he did this sacrifice.
So I wanted somebody murdered, so I prayed to the Night Mother. What? Is that a crime now? They even took my house, those bastards! Gah!
So what it turns out, Claudius Arcadius wanted Rufio dead because Rufio murdered his daughter. Now, head to the middle of the Imperial City. Then, head into their basement, where you'll find some quite peculiar items. A ginormous chair that could barely fit through the door. In the corner, a giant crystal ball, and also a giant hourglass. I'm not sure how you're supposed to flip that hourglass over. It's literally taller than an average person. And on the floor, a giant club for normal humans. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you might also like this Easter egg. Inside Jim's cave, you will find the white-skinned goblins. A whole tribe of them actually. And all of them have a hand on them. A white hand. And these goblins with a white hand are led by a mage named Jim. If you remember the plot of Lord of the Rings, Saruman the Wizard, it's a mage who has an army of orcs marked by the white hand of Saruman. The only real difference is in Oblivion they're goblins, and in Lord of the Rings they're orcs. In the same cave you might also find something special, the only small rat in all of Oblivion, because every other rat is humongous compared to this one, laying on a plate. Do you think there's any lore reason why this specific rat is small, or is it just a child? Who knows? Go to the small town of Shardrock, and then head to the east to find a small little pond, but there's something special about it. Here you won't find just one, but two ginormous nerd roots. Just look at me standing next to it. And also head to Bleak Flats Cave to find another ginormous nerd root. And lastly, you can find one more giant nerd root next to the pond, Shetcorn's farm. For even more ginormous food, head to Armelian Tomb. Inside, you will find the largest mushrooms you have ever seen, even taller than a player character. And there's even an entire cave full of them inside. For this next one, head to Breville's Wizard's Grotto. And if you want to take a shortcut, go for the secret underwater entrance between these two rocks. Follow it all the way down through a tiny hole, and inside you'll find a strange, large fish. The giant slaughterfish, one of the ugliest creatures in the entire game. So kill it as fast as possible, so you don't have to look at its deformed face. Next up, go to the city of Lewin and enter their castle, sneaking past the guards and entering their secret basement. You will find something very disturbing, their own private torture chamber. There were even rumors that the Countess tortures Argonians underneath the castle. So I'm sad to inform you, the rumors are true. Head straight east to Breville over the ocean, and you'll find a small bridge. And underneath this bridge, there's a dead goblin drowned in the river. On this one, you'll find some alcohol and a poorly scribbled note. This note goes, "Me worst troll ever. Nobody pay bridge toll. Me not scary enough. Me get drunk and kill self. Troll drown." I must say, one of the most tragic stories in all of Elder Scrolls. But on a lighter note, head to Leowen to see a couple of very unique items inside their Mages Guild. In the back rooms, you will find a display case containing 3 special gems locked inside a display case without a key. There is no way to open it except through the console menu. But when it's open, you cannot loot these items, and they have no physics. And most importantly, these are completely unique. There's no other place in the entire game where you can find any stones who look like this. For the starter quest of the Thieves Guild, you have to steal a very special diary from Amantius Alectius, which will tell us about his personal story. He tells us about his attempt to grow a vampiric plant, which he in the end decides to destroy. They became far too dangerous. And if you head into the basement, you'll find plants next to a blood splash on the floor. As I said, these were blood-drinking plants. This is actually a reference to the movie Little Shop of Horror, where a man gets a plant which drinks blood, and by the end of the movie, it decides to kill everyone. Next detail you might have missed is a free boost. If you watch two people spar in the arena, you will actually get a 5+ boost in hand-to-hand combat. If you go to Meridian's Shrine, you can find something kinda weird on the floor. It's a bunch of ectoplasma. I sure wonder why that happened. This is something you might have missed, but if you go to Fort Surge, that was not the only thing that was supposed to be there. Originally, there were plans to make it an entire city, and not only a tiny little fortress. That's why you can find some extra ruins all around the main fort. Next time you visit Skingrad, meet this crazy man, Glarefair. He wants you to secretly spy on people to find out if they're spying on him. And if you ask these people, they will totally deny the claims that they're spying on him. Eventually, he will make you kill them. Maybe not the nicest man in Cyrodiil. There's actually a place in Oblivion where you can steal without getting caught by the police. First of all, go to Breville and enter the skooma den. And inside there, you can find 5 bottles of skooma. Steal them right out of their hands and get out of there. And the police will do nothing because you're literally stealing drugs from crackheads. In the beautiful town of Anvil, you can find this extremely cheap house, which is massive. But when you get inside, you will find something very strange. First of all, it looks very abandoned. And secondly, when you go to sleep in this house, you'll be attacked by ghosts. It's literally a haunted house. Maybe that's the reason you could buy it for so cheap. Returning to Dive Rock for one last time. On the way up to the top, you'll find a dead body of a very rich and noble looking man. This is Andre, and on his body you'll find a note from his daughter. She is telling him that short of him killing a frost troll, she don't believe he can make it up the mountain. I guess she was correct. In Coral, there's a very interesting statue that might be referencing to something real. Go to the south gate and you'll find the rendition of the famous Pieta, one of Michelangelo's most famous works. And I'm not referring to the turtle. Mages are usually very resilient, but if you wear a necromancer robe, they will get very frustrated with you, and they will actually stop speaking to you.
Are you out of your mind? Take that robe off at once.
And are you out of your mind? Take that robe off at once.
Are you out of your mind? Take that robe off at once.
Heinrich Oakenholt's Bosmer wife and a man called Elmroth are having an affair. You can find them in the stables behind Anvil in the afternoon. Maybe they're just friends. You can actually find a secret trader and one of the few ones in the entire game that actually sell skooma just outside the Imperial City walls. Just follow the wall after leaving the stables. And his name is Shady Sam, which might be a reference to the city in the Fallout universe named Shady Sands, which you visit in Fallout 1 and 2. Because 2 years before the game released, Bethesda had actually bought the Fallout franchise. In Skingrad, you can find a store all things alchemy. But did you know there was a previous store that burned down actually? Very close to the Memorial Cave, you'll find a burnt down house with a sign all things alchemy. And going inside this house, you can find tons of pots and alchemy supply. Go to the inn based on a ship on the waterfront of the Imperial City. And then, if you sleep on this ship, you will wake up in the middle and the ship has been hijacked by pirates. Furthermore, in the same mission, you can find an Easter egg to remove Under Siege, where you can use the dialogue option, "I'm the cook," the same line Steven Seagal says in the movie. In the small town of All is Well, all is not well, because all the people inside are invisible. They're still doing their task, but you can't see them. That's why they send you off on a quest to solve this issue. If you want a unique decoration for your house, in Reveal's Fighting Guild, you can find a large silver plate, which you can steal because it's totally unique and it's the only one in their entire game. There are 9 total options for permanent followers, but the adoring fan is the only one that won't fight. That is because he's a complete useless idiot. You can actually find references to your actions in the Black Horse Courier paper, but the real mystery is, has the people of Elder Scrolls invented the printing press? Have you ever visited the location of Vin Diesel? It's actually a reference to a person in real life, Vin Diesel, the actor, because of the kinda terrible movie Pacifier, which was made in the area close to Bethesda headquarters when they were making the game. There are a total of 12 houses in Oblivion, but easily the best one, it's the Mage Tower, because spells and enchantments, because there you can make your own spells without unlocking the Mage's Guild. The fastest horses in the entire game is the black horses from Shadenhall, if you ignore Shadowmere, of course. But if you're looking for health instead of speed, the white horses from Anvil are the strongest. If you go to the Wizard Tower, which I just mentioned, and apply Chameleon by enchanting your armor, you can go in completely invisible, having 120% invisibility. While walking past and talking to NPCs, you might hear this very unique quote, what they call Landrags Billies. Have you seen a Landrag? We call them Billies. Don't know why. Stay clear of them though. We, the player, knows why. During development, the developers actually started calling them Billies. They left it in the game as a nod. For the few who knows. Travel the skin grab, you might notice their amazing vineyard. But continuing up to the castle, talk to the orc butler, Shum Gruyard. Shum will make these comments about wine, but I helped him drink his wine, and he always had some mighty fine wine. And this is a direct quote from the band Free Dog Night. During the quest, Nature's Fury, you need to retrieve an item from the Shrine of Kinnereth, which will lead us to Kinnereth's grotto. To access it, you need to go past a giant bear, and at that point, most players would try to kill it. But what you're supposed to do is ignore the bear and wait a minute, and then he will leave you in peace, and you will have access to the grotto. And this is based off the book Sword and the Storm, where the main character has a similar encounter with a magical guardian bear, and he has to respect it to be allowed to pass. During the tournament of the 10 Bloods, you have to fight one of each race, excluding your own. If you're playing any other race except Orc, she will say this line of dialogue. At last, poor Orc, this was not your finest hour. Many believe this is a reference to William Shakespeare's famous play, Hamlet. During the 5th act, Hamlet starts speaking about a dead jester, where he says, alas, poor Yorick. If you once again go back to the start of the game and actually listen to the dialogue by the Emperor, right before he dies, when he discusses the birth signs with us, he says this line, the skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire and everyone a sign. Then he will also say, death, unnecessary end, will come when it will come. Both of these lines are based off the Shakespeare play Julius Caesar. And in this play, they say these lines, of all the wonders that I have heard, it seems to me the most strange that man should fear is seeing death, a necessary end, will come when it comes. And also, there's no fellow in the firmament. The skies are painted with unnumbered sparks. They are all fire, and everyone thou shine. And on top of that, the voice actor Patrick Stewart was a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company. In the city of Breville, you can find a woman called Ursen Locke, and her man is missing due to the gambling debt. What you need to do is meet with a loan shark, and he will send you off on a boat to Fort Grief, where you will find her husband, and we will find out we are a part of a sick hunting game where nobles hunt normal peasants. And this concept was stolen from a story called The Most Dangerous Game. In the story, a man travels to South America to hunt cats, but finds out he's the one being hunted. If you go to Battlehorn Castle, a bit outside of Corel, in the store of the castle, you'll find out one of the previous lords was turned into a skeleton by the necromancer Ariel Gerard, and his name Lord Cain. And the story is very close to Crystal Dynamics' Legacy of Cain, where Lord Cain was killed and brought back from the dead. In the many different fighting guild halls all around Cyrodiil, if you talk to the male Imperials, you have a chance to get this line: "I have a warm place to sleep and 3 squares a day. It ain't the Bard's Tale, but it's good enough for me." And many fans believe this is a direct reference to the video game series A Bard's Tale. While fighting NPCs, they have a chance of saying this line: "Jump on my sword while you can," which a lot of players believe is a reference to the original Baldur's Gate, where the character Minsk says the line, "Jump on my sword when you can, evil, I won't be as gentle." In the town of Leeuwin, you might find a quite strange quest, where a woman has obtained a weird artifact, which will spawn 4 very annoying scamps, following her constantly, and you are sent off on a mission to dispose of this item. And the name of this quest is titled Whom Gods Annoy, and it's actually based off an old proverb: "Whom gods destroy, they first make mad." While in the snowy city of Bruma, you might find the general store called Nova Roma. Some people think it's a reference to Constantinople, which was originally named Nova Roma, or it might be just a reference to the Roman Empire or the city. Just north of the imperial city, you will find Castle Geracticus. Many fans believe this was a reference to the British chieftain named Geracticus, who lived in the 1st century, who's famous for his many victories. This next Easter egg can be encountered pretty much anywhere out in the world. It's of course everyone's favorite NPC, Maik the Liar. And here in Oblivion, this is his 2nd appearance in any Elder Scrolls game. And he will give you different lines of dialogue depending on where you're located. And he said lines that might have predicted Skyrim. "I have seen dragons. Perhaps you will see dragon. I won't say where I saw one. Perhaps I did not." Some people would say this is foreshadowing to Skyrim, the next game released in the franchise. This cat can say a lot of weird things. His default line is "Maik knows much, tells some. Maik knows many things, others do not." And this line comes from the book The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And in the book, the main character is speaking about his friend Mike and says this: "Mike knows much, doesn't tell all. There's only one master archer that can train you in the entire game. Her name is Eloin, and you can find her at the Troll Candle camp, but she will refuse to train you unless you have an elven bow and you're an expert at bowing." In Shadenhall, you can actually find out about a secret gang selling skooma called the Orms Gang. It's a small group of orcs in the city, and there's actually a barrel in the waterfront district that they add skooma to once a week. Go to the city of Corel and then head to Renar's Books. The owner of the bookshop, Estelle Renvar, was actually featured in one of the first trailers for Oblivion, showcasing their new intelligent AI design. In the demo, she's practicing her marksman skill and interacting with her dog, and also consume a potion to display their new in-game drinking animation. And then she could throw fireballs at her dog. But going upstairs, you might find a quite scary detail: the dog carpet. So I guess the dog didn't survive the demo. And you can also find a couple of potions on the shelf above the dog skin. Quite gruesome, but still interesting. Once again, heading back to Teles Plaza district in the Imperial City. And hiding inside the catacombs, you will find this strange man in the basement of its own house. We have the man, Jackbin, Earl of Imbol. If you rearrange the name and take out some of the letters, you will get Jack B. Nimble. And he is a reference to the character Spring Heel Jack, a man from English folklore. Something even more interesting, in the catacomb you can find the tomb of Spring Heel Jack. And on Jack B. Nimble's body, you can even find the boots of Spring Heel Jack. Next, head to any Mythic Dawn banner you can find. First of all, the name, the Mythic Dawn, could be a reference to the ancient order of the Hermetic Dawn. The same thing with the sun rises, to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, as their banners are very similar, with red and a yellow sun. Now head for Fort Coldcorn and search for the small platform on the back. And on this platform, there's a sword on the ground and a chest. In this chest, there's a key and a note. And on the note, it's written, "The sword leads the way. Half a mile. It's just past the big rock on the right. Now, just line up with the sword and walk forward. And you will find a rock to the right. And behind this rock there's a chest, requiring a key to open. But luckily, you grabbed it from the other chest. And inside this chest, there's some loot and also a note with the text, "Blessed are those who explore the unbeaten path." When doing the Dark Brotherhood quest line, you will eventually reach a quest called Next of Kin, where you need to eliminate a whole family. You first need to head to Applewatch to interrogate her and kill this old lady. Then finish off all her children, Cilia the Cronus, Andreas the Cronus, Sibylla the Cronus, and her son Matthias the Cronus. And once the entire family has been wiped out, you can return to Applewatch, where it all started, and you will find 5 graves for all the 5 people you murdered. If you walk up to and activate the mother's grave, a ghost will attack you as revenge for the murders. Unfortunately, she doesn't know you're the main character. Next time you visit the city of Skingrad, you should check out this Easter egg, which is a reference to a bug in the original Oblivion. If you visit the house of Lazar Melvin and then proceed to sneak into his basement, you will find something very strange. The Uber Rat. It might look like a normal rat, but it's not. It's faster, stronger in every way. The damage he deals and health he has will increase drastically with your level. When checking the construction set of the original game, the name of the rat is Test Basement Rat. So when the game was originally developed, it was left in by accident. And then this accident was brought forward into the more recent game. As a little nod to those who know, in the city of Chillenhall, you can find the secret sanctuary for the Dark Brotherhood. There's a young blonde lady with a familiar name, Antoinette Marie. And if you switch the letters around, it will turn into Marie Antoinette, which was the former Queen of France, who was then beheaded during the French Revolution. And when you speak to her, she will say this specific line.
Don't tell anyone else, but someday I'm going to have Ochiva's position. Just you wait and see. Lucien the Chance knows real talent when he sees it.
Not only does she have the same name, she also wants to become the leader or the queen of the Dark Brotherhood. We can just hope she doesn't have the same fate in the end. If you head over to the Arena District in the Imperial City, you'll find these posters everywhere. And for all the boomers in the audience, you might be getting flashbacks, because this poster is very similar to the original one in the Elder Scrolls Arena, released more than 30 years ago in 1992. In the poster, there are 4 different character classes standing in a square formation, posing in front of their respective arena. They only have to bring back the outfit for the woman and it would be perfect. You can find an arrogant high elf named Ambokaro in the Plaza district of the Imperial City, and he sends us off on a series of quests to find the secrets of the Iliad. But in one of his quests, where you have to retrieve an item, you then get hauled up by treasure hunters who were once your friends. And the name of this quest is a reference to the Indiana Jones movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indiana Jones is in the same position as we are in this quest. And the quote is, "Dr. Jones, again we see, there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away." And the quest is called, "There's nothing you can possess which I cannot take away." Walking over to the shrine of Clavicus Vile, you can see a dog next to him with the name of Barbas. And once you acquire the quest, the dog will go into the bag as an item, and he has lots of interesting things to say.
I'm Barbas, the Hound of Clavicus Vile. Not that I've always been Hound, or always been called Barbas. I've also been a Red Guard. For a while I was a scamp, making deals with orcs.
He was not only a Red Guard, he was also scammed, making deals with orcs. And for anyone who played Morrowind, this might ring a bell. Quickly going back to Elder Scrolls of Morrowind, to the city of Caldera, you can find a house populated by orcs. And you can also find one special NPC, a talking magical scamp who is also a trader named Creeper. And as he said, he was a scamp making deals with orcs, which is making this a reference to Morrowind. Inside the Dark Brotherhood, there exists a top secret organization made up of the best assassins, called the Black Hand. But going back to real life, the Black Hand was the unofficial name, the Serbian nationalist group during the early 1900s. Those were the people who killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand, setting in motion the sequence of events which would start the First World War. And just like the real-life organization, the Elder Scrolls 1 is made of a select group of people committing acts of terror, murder, and destruction to achieve their goals. But continuing on the topic of war crimes and destruction, which is the Oblivion Blackwood Company, which has an eerily similar name to the real-life Blackwater Company, which was a private military corporation operating between 1997 and 2014. And just like their in-game counterpart, they were known for their reckless behavior and endangering civilians. But luckily in-game, you're able to shut them down. For this next little Easter egg, you have to go to the town of Hack Dirt, just a smidge south of Coral, whose inhabitants are some of the rudest people to have ever existed.
Let me give you some advice, stranger. Leave, now. You ain't welcome here. Go bother someone else.
We don't look kindly on strangers asking questions. If you need a room, try Muslin's Inn. Otherwise, you'd best be moving on.
This is actually not a reference to France, but actually something else. First, go into their church, and you will see the walls are unlike any other church in Oblivion. And then read their book, the Bible of the Deep Ones, given to me by the Chief of the Deep Ones. He taught me his language and his runes. This is an ancient lore of his people, which we shall follow from now until forever. Signed in the presence of 12 witnesses. And the rest of the book is completely unreadable. And traveling around town, you might notice all the trap doors leading down into the caverns. Not only are these caverns filled with crazy lunatic barbarians trying to kill you and calling themselves the Brethren, and you can even hear the strange voice down in the caverns. But what was the root of the reference? In this town, Hackden, the population is worshipping their Deep Ones through the book, the Bible of the Deep Ones, which strikes a close resemblance to the book Shadow over Innsmouth by Lovecraft, where a small New England town is populated by half-human creatures who worship creatures under the sea who are called the Deep Ones. Very scary. Now travel back to the Imperial City once again and speak to any vendor. There's a guy undercutting people on all their prices. And this is how you start unfriendly competition. We have to uncover the secret methods he's obtaining these extremely cheap items. You'll find out that it's run by a grave robbing ring led by a Garmere, and in his basement you'll find this book, a log. In this book it says who was killed, where they're buried, and what items they had on their body. And in this book you can find the name O'Ford Baggins, or if you rearrange the letters, Frodo Baggins, the hobbit carrying the ring in Lord of the Rings. And going in further, what they stole from his body, a traveling cloak with a silver and green leaf fastener, an enchanted short sword, and most importantly, a gold ring with the inscription Cursed. And finally, a leather-bound journal, which is probably a reference to the book There and Back Again, which Frodo finishes in the book. Once you complete the quest, you will actually obtain two of these items, the short sword and the magical ring. Unfortunately, there are no volcanoes to throw this ring in. Now, head to Vadon Cave for a lusty surprise, because the cave is inhabited by a unique Argonian tribe, solely made up of nudists. But unfortunately, not only the women are naked, the men too. So if you're an enjoyer of the lusty Argonian maid, have a visit. Now, go to Dive Rock and investigate their camp, where you will find Agmar's journal. It tells the tale of the Otherfrike, a scary creature, and the absolute disaster they caused. These are all references to the Morrowind Bloodburn expansion. Often unknown hero saved them by killing all of these creatures, aka the protagonist. Agmar and his wife went out to hunt down the Adolfrite matron. Further down the mountain, you can actually find his body, and also the Adolfrite matron. Unfortunately, he perished in his attempt to kill this monster, but we, the protagonist, can finish the job. Lastly, you can actually meet NPCs talking about Skyrim, alluding to the next game in the franchise.
Have you heard any word about the other provinces?
There are foul tidings from Skyrim. The Greybeards speak of the end of all times.
This is most disturbing. We can only hope this madness is over soon.
Safe travels.
You too. Look at the